Oh, you're very appropriate. The things we do for love. He's here in the studio. It's time for Matt Dickerson and Tech Talk.
It's time now for the latest news on what's hot and what's not in the world of technology with Mathew Dickerson on Tech Talk. Here on TCFM 88.9.
Morning, Matthew.
So I'm not sure if you're saying there's a love of technology there or you just love having me in the studio, Richard.
Well,
I'm not
both.
sure how far... Both.
Both. Aren't I a kind person
I'm all
today?
warm and fuzzy now.
Are you all warm and fuzzy? Well, I mean, I've got to, where is it? An interesting story. I marked them all and, I thought you've got to ask. Oh, yes, here we go. First, and you don't know what I'm talking
No
about
idea yet.
If I'm searching for that extra athletic performance, could tracking my blood glucose level make a difference? Come on.
The answer is yes. If you're an elite athlete, it's quite interesting with blood sugar levels. They've got now continuous glucose monitors, CGMs they're called, of course. There's got to be an acronym or initialism for them. And they're being used by diabetics for several years now. In fact, I've ridden push bikes with people that have had a glucose monitor. They've got it literally under their skin and they've got a little monitor in their back pocket so they can continually check their blood sugar level and then check what they might need to do from a diabetic perspective.
And we have that with one swimmer too, who's an Olympian.
There you go. Yep. So now take that a step further. Rather than just looking at your blood sugar level for your diabetic condition, looking at your blood sugar level to get the absolute maximum performance out of yourself, especially in some sort of long distance event. If you're a sprinter, then it's probably not so important, but for a long distance event where you've got to keep the energy levels at a certain level to keep feeding your muscles to keep performing in that event, this is the latest thing. It's not illegal, it's not like doping, it's not like any form of performance enhancing. It's really just monitoring what you eat. Now, a lot of professional athletes have their nutritionists or their Australian Institute of Sport monitoring their food going in and making sure that it's all right, but that's so customised to each individual. So now there are blood sugar level monitors that you can put out. It's a bit scary because when you put the patch on, it actually goes under your skin because it's got to actually monitor some of the substance underneath your skin to actually check those blood sugar levels. And you can continue to look at that, see what you eat, see how much that changes things, and keep those blood sugar levels within certain parameters to give you your absolute maximum performance.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking about sticking it under a swimmer and having it emailed back somewhere. It'd be amazing. Well, a coach with a computer on the side of the pool. Yeah, a bike rider in the car behind.
The device is obviously set up with Bluetooth, so you can monitor on your phone.
Yep.
Obviously, Bluetooth has got a limited range. It mightn't work so well from a water perspective because water absorbs electromagnetic signal, but you could actually track it and look at it afterwards. But it's more about just that nutrition through the whole day. I mean, I don't see people at parkrun on a Saturday morning going out and getting this and breaking their PB by 3 seconds. But it's people that are a bit serious about it and people that might be running, say, half marathons, marathons, triathletes, long distance cycling events. So any of those ones like that, I can see this being the next level of just making sure your body is at its absolute best performance so you can eat your Cadbury chocolate on the weekend.
roll on Tokyo. Okay, I'm holding these up because no longer do we need that for that. And you can explain. I'm holding a phone and a charger.
Yeah, look, there's the third biggest phone manufacturer in the world is one that not many people have heard of. It's called Xiaomi, spelled Xiaomi. And they figure exactly, so you were holding up a wireless charger and a phone, and exactly the frustration that people have, you sit your phone on the wireless charger, and unless you get it right in the sweet spot there, then it doesn't actually start charging. Now, Richard's here showing me that his light comes on to let him know that it's charging, and some of the modern chargers do that. Apple have got their MagSafe where the magnet locks it into the right location, but that creates some issues as we've talked about with pacemakers. So Xiaomi has come up with the idea of why worry about having your wireless charger sitting on top of your phone or vice versa? Why not have it within a couple of metres? And that sounds a bit scary, but what it does is it puts out a wireless signal over a several square metre or cubic metre area, and then it does the thing called beam forming, where it detects a phone or even a watch in that area. It then directs a beam at that actual device to charge it up. It's a little bit slower than your wireless charger. It's about 5 watts it'll charge at, but still pretty impressive. Sounds a little bit scary, I must admit. That
Am I going to get zapped?
That's the first thought of most people. So they've obviously got a few hoops to jump through to make sure that it is safe before it's brought to the market in a commercial sense. But this is what we're working towards, is Forget about having devices that you need to find at power point. You could just have a zone. For example, your desk could be a zone. You have your watch, your computer, your phone in that zone. It just starts charging up automatically for you. That's pretty interesting.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
Now, wooden windows. Come on. A whole complete window made of wood and you can see through it. Can they see in?
You can see both directions.
All right.
Now, they've been working on this for a little while. There's a substance in wood called lignin. And if you remove lignin from wood, that's what gives it the colour, and you actually end up with transparent wood. Unfortunately, when you remove lignin from wood, you also remove most of the strength of the wood. So you end up with a piece of wood that maybe hasn't got a lot of structural strength, but sure, you can see through it. The latest development is they've actually got to the point where they can remove the colour from the lignin, so you end up with most of the strength of normal wood, but 90% transparent. So it only ends up blocking 10% of the light going through it. The real breakthrough here is that glass lets through a fair bit of heat and or like cool or heat, depending on what sort of environment you're in. So cooling or heating your house relies on how much glass space you've got on your house to let the heat or the cool escape from your house. Wood is actually a very good insulator. So starting to make windows out of wood means that you get very good insulators on your house. Therefore, you don't need to spend as much money on air conditioning, but you still get the transparency, as I say, 90% transparent. So pretty interesting sort of development. And just imagine, Richard, the whole concept of a transparent house. You could build a house out of wood and be completely transparent. You might want to have something around the toilet and bathroom
I was going
area.
to say, you need a curtain across the bathroom, wouldn't you?
But I can just see some prototype or display houses being built that are basically transparent, but you can have the structural timber that goes into making a house actually be transparent as well. Logically, I think what we'll see will be window shapes that are made, and again, it's more to do with that insulation or the insulative properties of wood than anything else.
Goodbye to more trees.
Well, it's probably something that at least is a renewable resource. Obviously, glass is renewable as well, but it's just something that's a bit different. But again, the main focus here is let's not spend so much money on our energy to heat or cool our buildings.
Fair enough. Okay. Now, let's look at hydrogen. Wonderful hydrogen. Hopefully fueling cars more one day. But there's an option for hot and dry regions to use hydrogen. How?
Well, to produce hydrogen, this is one of the big things. So when we talk about what sort of energy sources we'll be using for our transport in years to come, electric batteries or electric cars with batteries, that makes sense, and there's logic around that, and that's already working out there now in the real world. When you get to planes and ships, for example, yes, they've done some experimentation with electric versions of both those, but it's a bit harder when you've got to put all that weight of batteries up in the air, and then you've got to keep it up in the air. And what happens when you get kind of certain distance and you've got to land again and then charge up, it takes a bit of time. So hydrogen's been talked about as a fuel source for planes and ships for a similar reason. But producing hydrogen is fairly power intensive. So you might produce a nice clean energy source in hydrogen, but you're burning a bunch of coal to do it. There's some talk now, and there's some action being put into this, about some different areas, and Australia is a perfect spot to do it, where you'll use renewable energy to produce the electricity to break out the hydrogen. All you need is water, because obviously H2O for water. To break out that H out of the H2O, you need lots of power. And so there's some areas down in Victoria, down the Mallee region area, where there's a whole bunch of renewable energy being produced and plans for a lot more. And they're saying, well, we could feed that back into the grid, but maybe we could produce a whole hydrogen production area here, because we can get some water, and effectively we've got the power from solar energy, mainly solar, some wind as well, but mainly solar, and we can then be producing hydrogen, which then can be exported all over the world. So the next big export for Australia in the next 10, 20, 30 years might not be coal as it is now, it might be hydrogen. But a great part about that is we've got a fair bit of water around our nation. You know, we've got an ocean around here, so we can get a lot of water into wherever we need to get it to, and then we've got lots of solar energy that we could use to produce that or turn that into hydrogen. So it's pretty exciting. The estimation by some of the industry experts is it will be an $11 billion industry for Australia alone by the year 2050. Now, $11 billion probably across the nation doesn't sound like the biggest industry, but it's certainly not a bad replacement industry, as the coal industry is obviously slowly declining.
Which I agree with, and I think that's very good. I hope someone has whispered that into politicians' ears. They'll probably run the other way at the moment, but...
Well, there's a little bit of money being put towards this. It's mainly industry money going towards it in Victoria, a little bit of political money going towards it down in Victoria, but probably not enough is the reality of it. But let's not keep it to Victoria. I mean, look out here in our region. We've got We've got lots of solar panels in Nevertire, in Nyngan, around Dubbo, around Wellington. We've got Badangra wind farms, some more wind farms and solar cells around Mudgee. So we've certainly got a fair bit of renewable energy around this area, but again, we could use some of that, and we've got some reasonable water sources in places like Burrendong Dam. You know, maybe we could start to turn some of that into hydrogen.
Be nice. Be nice. Finally, my car outside does about 4.2 0 to 100, which is fairly quick.
Yep.
But I believe the next Tesla, I should say, is going to go from 0 to 100 in 1.99 seconds. That is unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. It's the sort of figure, 2 seconds is that magic number they talk about with some of the supercars,
Yep.
the Lamborghinis, the Ferraris, the Bugattis. That's one of the numbers they often throw around. But you pay $1 million or more for some of those vehicles. The Tesla Model S at the moment, 2 versions of that. You've got the standard performance, only 4.1 seconds. The ludicrous performance, and ludicrous comes off the Spaceballs movie, Mel Brooks Spaceballs movie. 2.6 seconds, 0 to 100. That's pretty impressive, and people get pretty excited about that. But the new versions of the Model S, which will be available from next year, so it's not an eternity away, they've got the plaid version, which is the next speed in of course, the Spaceballs movie. The plaid version of the Tesla Model S goes 1.99 seconds, so they've broken the 2 second. But then they've got Plaid Plus. Plaid Plus has got 3 motors on it, has got a range of 837 kilometres, and they say it will be faster than 1.99 seconds. They haven't said how much fast yet. I suspect they don't know how much fast yet, because the limitation here is really the rubber on the ground. It's got the power. You could spin the wheels incredibly, but obviously it's got power and sort of monitoring to make sure the wheels don't spin, but the grip or the traction between the tyres and the bitumen, and I'm sure they're working with someone like Michelin to produce even better tyres, because that will be the limitation for how fast that car can go.
Put snow chains on there. Yeah, I mean, mine, I think, is about 400 horsepower, and it's 4-wheel drive. It's dual turbo, and I can only get 4.5 out of it. With electric engines, sky's the limit, really, isn't it?
Well, because you've got all that torque available from 0 revs.
Yeah.
So essentially, they're talking about the Plaid versions and the Plaid Plus versions, 1,100 to 1,200 horsepower. So pretty impressive. But it's more the torque. The torque is what really blows people away with electric vehicles. And can I give a quick plug for Devious? Devious is an electric vehicle group in Dubbo, the Dubbo Electric Vehicle Interested in Owners Users Group, which is Devious. And we meet on the first Wednesday of every month at the Western Plains Cultural Centre. So that's today at midday. So we normally end up with about 10 or 12 people there. We normally get a couple of random people that don't own electric cars who are interested. Come along and have a chat. We've got a bunch of electric car owners there. We'll have always people drive their electric cars to the meeting, obviously. So we've got
charge them at the chargers.
Charge them there at the chargers, that's right. But look, it's interesting, and again, we'll have people who are just interested sometimes come along, and before we know it, those people that are interested, a couple of months later, they'll turn up with their electric cars. So it's just a chance to have a lunch and chat about electric vehicles in general. But yeah, look, it's a good little meeting, and everyone is welcome.
I think my next car is going to be a Tesla. I have a feeling.
They're pretty impressive.
I have a feeling, yeah. All right. Good evening, Matt. We'll see you next Wednesday. It's 19 to 10, DCFM 88.9, and that is Tech Talk for this week. Here's Bruce Springsteen. Oh, glory days. Yeah. DCFM 88.9.